As you may have known, I've been using the Huawei Watch 2 for a pretty long time for Wear OS. I think there are two things limiting it. One is the speed and the performance, and two is the dreaded broken cloud, where it indicates that there's a Bluetooth connection and things like Google Assistant don't work. So I went out and I bought a Fossil Sport, hoping that those two items were addressed and that this was a decent upgrade. Was it an upgrade? Well, let's find out. Deciding which new Wear OS watch I wanted to buy, there were two choices that I was thinking about. One is the Skygun Foster 2, and the second one was the Fossil Sport. I picked the Fossil Sport because it was the first thing that went on sale. In fact, right now it's around 265 Canadian dollars. And just after I bought it, I heard that the Skygun Foster 2 went on sale. I think I would have much rather get the Skygun Foster 2 because I think it looks a little more professional, but the Fossil Sport does look really good, so I went and bought that. So the first thing I want to talk about is the hardware or hardware design, the build quality. And right off the bat, I really do like how the Fossil Sport looks like. It looks, it's very light. It does look pretty nice, and I really enjoy using that wheel. That's one thing that the Huawei Watch 2 doesn't have, and the extra button. In terms of design, I think it really looks nice. It's a little more toyish than the Skygun Foster 2, but I still think it looks really good on my wrist. And I actually opted to get the smaller one, the 41mm versus the 43mm. And that's because the size of the screen for both versions is exactly the same. So why would I want more bezel? And I don't want extra weight. I like these kind of smartwatches and fitness trackers to feel like I'm not even wearing them. So I much prefer the lighter watch, which is why I got the 41mm. And I'm a pretty big guy, 6'3", 230 pounds. So I don't know how big my wrists are in comparison to that, but I think the watch does look pretty nice. Now, in terms of the hardware, the one thing I wanted to talk about was the wheel, or the scrolling wheel on the side. And I really do like it, but I really wish that I could wake up the device using it. So let's say I get a notification, I start scrolling on my watch, it doesn't wake up the screen. You kind of have to tap the screen or do the wake gesture to wake it up. Then you can scroll through notifications. And that is something that's really annoying. And another thing is, let's say I want to select an app through the app list and I'm scrolling through the list. I still have to use my finger to touch the screen to select that app. I would much prefer to use all physical buttons. So for example, I'm scrolling with the dial and then I press another button to select that app. And then I just see that information, the weather information, for example. That would have been a better, more preferred, but this is just a little nitpicking and not a deal breaker. Another quick note about the hardware is the charger. And I really like the design of the charger. It actually uses the entire circumference of the watch to make a connection to the charger, which I think is a better design and it will last longer. Compared to my Huawei Watch 2, it actually has only 3 pins and it's magnetic, so it locks in right away, but you have to match it perfectly. And I find that there is some corrosion, there is some contact failure ever so often when I try to charge it. I think the Fossil Sport charger would actually last longer, and it's pretty reliable and it works really well. Now, so far what I've said is probably the positives of the Fossil Sport. I think the next couple items I'm going to bring up are not so good. The next thing I want to talk about is the battery life. And coming from the Huawei Watch 2, which has an amazing, excellent battery life compared to all other Wear OS watches, the Fossil Sport is not that good. I think it's doable. I get around just a day use of the battery. It does deplete pretty fast. And I have ambient display, or the always on display, enabled, because that, for me, as you've seen in my previous videos, is a critical, necessary feature I need for any watch on my wrist. So that's on. The brightness is, I set it to like kind of 3 or the lower ones. I'm not getting many notifications. I haven't even taken this out for exercise. And most importantly, I just have the Bluetooth connection. I don't have any Wi-Fi, which the Wi-Fi does drain a lot of battery. So I'm getting about a day. Definitely won't get more than, I'd say, 14, 16 hours. Coming from the Huawei Watch 2, the battery life is quite a disappointment, but it's still workable. And finally, the last two things about hardware that I'm not very happy about is, one, it doesn't come with native sleep tracking. I guess that's a software feature. It doesn't have native sleep tracking, which I think really sucks. I mean, what's the point of having something that is so lightweight like the Fossil Sport on your wrist? Don't you want to take it to sleep? And I think part of it is obviously the battery life. The battery life does not last very long. So maybe that's why Wear OS or Fossil has not created native sleep tracking. Unlike the Huawei Watch 2, where thanks to Huawei, they have their own software and it does an amazing job at auto sleep tracking. Actually one of the best sleep trackers I have ever used compared to dedicated fitness trackers. So that's a big downside, no native sleep tracking. And secondly, a big one is no speaker. So when I'm talking to the voice assistant, I ask, what's the weather like, or set a reminder. I don't get any voice feedback. For a watch, it's some people think it's not a big deal. For me, I think it has become a big deal. I mean, I've been so accustomed to having a speaker on my watch, and I don't really use it for taking phone calls. I do think that's a sweet feature, and it's definitely something you're going to miss if you have the Fossil Sport, that you don't have the option to talk on your device. But most importantly is interacting with the voice assistant. That's just something that doesn't exist on the Fossil Sport. Turn on the projector.
Turning on projector, yo.
Okay, so the most important, let's talk about Wear OS, the software. Has the Fossil Sport solved the main issues I've been having with Wear OS on my Huawei Watch 2? Has it improved the reliability for the connection between the phone and the watch? No, it has not. I'm still getting intermittent Bluetooth disconnections, that dreaded broken cloud. I really hate that cloud so much. When that broken cloud happens, for people who don't know and have not seen my previous videos that I've talked extensively about, basically what happens is it says that you're disconnected from the watch or you're not connected to Google and the internet. However, you're still able to get notifications. But when I get notifications, I'm not notified. It kind of just appear, and you kind of don't get a vibrate. That's what I've been experiencing personally. So you do get notifications. You're actually able to open apps and make use of the internet and pull fresh data, like say the weather app. So things are working when you interact it, but you still have this broken cloud. But what really doesn't work is any Google Play service. So for example, I want to go to the App Store on my watch, doesn't work. I want to, most importantly for me, use the voice assistant, it doesn't work. So I'm still having this issue. I really hope that switching to a new watch would have fixed it for my Huawei Watch 2. But clearly it's not a hardware issue specific to any specific manufacturer. It's definitely a Wear OS issue. And I'm using a Samsung S9, which I think is a modern phone. So I'm not sure if it's exclusive to my phone. I've talked about this issue so much, and it has caused me so much pain. I really wish Wear OS would fix this issue. The only way I can temporarily fix it is to restart my phone. So something about my phone, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's cutting the connection. But restarting the phone, I find, has been the best help I can get in terms of having the connection working. But it'll eventually, after, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 hours, it'll come back to a very intermittent broken disconnection. Now, for what it's worth, I did find that the Fossil Sport did disconnect less frequently than my Huawei Watch 2, but it still had issues where, let's say I wanted to use the Google Voice Assistant on my watch, and it just didn't work because I had the broken cloud there. So has switching to the Fossil Sport increased speed compared to my Huawei Watch 2? No, it hasn't. Everything is still laggy. Wear OS is reliably laggy all the time. It's you tap on an icon, you have to wait 4 or 5 seconds for the app to appear. Engaging with the voice assistant, it can be very slow. So it's still very, very, very frustrating to use. And I was hoping that the Fossil Sport, since it's newer hardware, it's using the new 3100 Qualcomm chip, would help increase the speed. But no, it does not. In fact, a lot of people say, and as I know, that the 3100 chip is not actually an upgrade. It's still the 2100 chip with some ambient battery improvement save, but in terms of raw CPU performance, just terrible, just awful. I really think that the vendors, the manufacturers, need to increase the RAM or somehow, make things faster, because it's really terrible. And using the 3100 chip, I find that the battery life, it is using a smaller battery compared to the Huawei Watch 2. The 3100 battery performance is still pretty bad, as I mentioned earlier about the battery life performance. So in conclusion, my final verdict is that this is an excellent watch if you're completely new to Wear OS. Don't get me wrong, I was very negative and very harsh on the Fossil Sport, but I do think it's a very nice design. The hardware looks great. I think it's the best way to get into Wear OS. However, if you're upgrading from any 2100 Qualcomm chip, like the Huawei Watch 2 or anything like that, it's not an upgrade at all. You're better off sticking with Wear OS and wait for, hopefully, Google will, bring something that is finally decent. Like, please, for the love of God, give us some more RAM, give us a better CPU. Design hardware and tweak your damn software. Google, if you're listening, tweak your software, tweak your Wear OS. I don't care if all your engineers need to rewrite all the software for Wear OS. You need to really work on that, okay? Please, because you guys are really messing this up for everybody for Wear OS. So rewrite your damn software, make it more performant. And not only that, please fix the Bluetooth disconnection issue. That's definitely a software issue, so fix that, please. That's like a bare necessity. We can deal with slow speeds, but just fix that damn issue as well, Google. Anyways, as you've seen, I'm pretty damn frustrated about Wear OS. I was hoping that the Fossil Sport would make things better, but it did not. So I am just going to give up for a while and take a hiatus with Wear OS and continue to use my Huawei Watch 2. By the way, Huawei Watch 2 on sale, use on Kijiji or secondhand use. Probably the best watch you can get out there, so check out Kijiji. I'm seeing for like $150 or $100 Canadian brand new, so I don't know if you want to check that out. Anyways, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you more insight to the issues with Wear OS and Fossil Sport. I still think it's a great watch. Anyways, that's all for now. Please give a like and subscribe if you like this video, and leave your comments down below if you wanted to continue this discussion. I'd love to talk about it. See ya.
What's the weather like?